Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 2nd, and I'm in Mountain View, Hawaii right now. I should be home tomorrow doing my normal briefings from my studio tomorrow on January 3rd, so I fly home today. But taking a look here at the mid-level water vapor, we can see the next system off the coastline here, and it's already spreading clouds and some precipitation back up across the region. Take a look at the details from this storm. We'll take a look at the extended forecast as well as we go through the video here this morning. This is yesterday morning. Some of these making it up about 58% up the wall from what I could calculate. And then you could see yesterday afternoon increased even a little bit more, about 60% up the crater wall. I've heard anywhere between 400 to 600 feet for this wall height. If anybody knows, leave in the comments down below. The Halemaumau crater here, Kilauea volcano. And today's day 8 and still fountaining pretty spectacularly, putting on quite the show for anybody lucky enough to be out here on the Big Island. Now, taking a look at Spokane, National Weather Service, light wintry precipitation on Friday. So you can see there is going to be some mixed wintry precipitation out there, and you could read the graphic there for yourself. But this was updated here this morning at 6:38 a.m. I'll show you more on that here in a moment. But also they have this graphic out here. Just maybe a little bit of a glaze here. Looks like a Coeur d'Alene. Looks like maybe a tenth of an inch. A little bit more as you go towards the Cascades and the east slopes, the Oregon Cascades and Washington also. And the National Weather Service office, Portland, Oregon, some of this winter weather advisory also mentions that tenth of an inch of ice for some local areas here. And you can see in Oregon, mainly above 3,000 feet in Parkdale, Upper Hood River Valley, South Washington Cascades above 3,000 feet from 7 p.m. this evening to 4 p.m. on Friday. And Pendleton also has a graphic out. You can kind of splotchy or check out the NOAA site if you need to know more information on that, or if you need to know detailed information, if you want to see this graphic up close. And it says about 2/10 of a glaze can be expected. I'll show you the weather models in that here in a moment. Also, portions of Montana get some decent snowfall. You can see Helena, 58% chance of 2 inches or greater snowfall, and some areas with 4 inch or greater. Also, you can see it does include Lewiston here as well. Now, this is a little bit further out east, so just a heads up if you're traveling on I-90 or going out into Montana or traveling eastbound from there. Look at Billings, 2 inches, Roundup 4 to 6, Lewiston 4 to 6. There's Jordan here, and there's Miles City right there. So yeah, winter is here for portions of Montana. And an interesting statistic here from Seattle. So we did not have a day with at least 1 inch of rain in 2024. And that's the first year in 80 years of records at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. There's not been at least one day the year with a 1 inch rainfall. That's a staggering stat there. And the last time was December 5th, 2023. And it's been 30 years since we had a streak like that. And you can see the other fairly long streaks that we've had. So we're in the third longest streak ever. We'll see how long that continues on. Of course, the further on in towards February and March we go, the chances of a 1 inch rainfall dramatically reduce as we go towards the summertime. So this is the water year. It starts on October 1st. We are below average. We're usually up over 16 inches this time of year, about 13.4. No snowfall yet, as you guys know. And you can kind of see how we went that warm period of December there. I also want to point out with some of this wave action, we are getting still some energetic waves towards the coastline, especially as we go on in through Friday night and on in through Saturday. You can see that along the Washington, Oregon coast. A little bit of a break here as we go towards the early portion of next week as the storm track points north up into, Haida Gwaii north, southeast Alaska for a bit. And we do get a break in some of that wave action here as we go through some portions of next week. Now looking at the North American model, I want to point this out as well. You can see as this next slug of moisture is moving in, you can see that pink there, that means the mixed precipitation or freezing rain. You can see how it's kind of highlighting certain areas and moves up towards potentially even Snoqualmie Pass. We've got some east winds that are in place, keeping some of that colder air in some of the lower elevations that could help out with that freezing rain potential. Places like the Gorge get those east winds as well, and some areas of the east slopes, the Cascades of Oregon may be favored for some of that freezing rain. And then we'll scroll off in here and you can see the next round of precipitation arriving as we go through Saturday afternoon. Now, a wider look at things here on the European, it does show some of that as well, mainly down to Oregon, northern Oregon, east slopes of the Cascades towards the Gorge as well. And then you can see the next system rolling in here as we go on in through Friday night into Saturday. Locally breezy conditions on some of the coastal areas. It's not a strong low, but the pressure gradient isn't too bad from the Oregon coast out towards that low pressure there. So we are going to have some blustery conditions at times. And then we start to get a bit of a break here, and we'll take a look at that here over the next few days, because it'd be somewhat, that'd be a bit unusual here. We've been having rainfall here, it seems like every single day since, the portion of maybe around December 8th, 10th. I don't have all my data here on the road, but yeah, it's been rainy for a while, so that would be maybe a nice little treat here to have some dry days. But taking a look at 24-hour Kuchera ratio. So this goes through Sunday morning, and I wanted to point that out. This looks like about the peak for some Saturday to Sunday morning. We are going to pick up some decent amounts across some of the Cascades. Not looking at any major lowland snow event here coming up over the next few days as well. We'll take a look at the extended forecast here in a moment. And accumulated freezing rain, North American model. Again, you can kind of see where the favored areas are for that. But unless you're off in the mountains or trapped in some of the valleys, the cold air, it's not going to be any kind of a big deal for places like Portland, Seattle, Spokane. Maybe some of the northern portions could get a little bit of a glaze out of that. Precipitation here. So this is the 12Z run. Let me update that and let's get the most recent information here, and we'll kind of dive into this. You can see Oregon again initially targeted as we go on in through tomorrow. Some of that spreads up across western Washington, and as we go through Saturday, we get another system moving through there, puts Seattle up over an inch, but then we start to dry out after that. So a couple more systems to go, and then we're going to dry out, and then we'll see how long it is before the next storms try to make their way into the region. Looking at the GFS 12Z run, hot off the presses. There goes our initial system here. One more weak system there. And yes, the GFS does agree with that ridging. Definitely building up here as we go through the 6th, 7th. And again, we'll just kind of monitor that and see how long that lasts. I keep waiting to see if there's some kind of pattern change emerging through the extended forecast here for some cooler weather, and not much of it showing up. You need more of a persistent ridge out here over the Pacific Ocean, and we're just not seeing it too much yet. Anyway, looking out through the GFS, 384 hours, 16 days. Now, this is the weekly forecast, the European weeklies, not the weekly forecast, but this goes out 46 days. And this is the ensemble mean. So if we scroll out here, I'll show you something interesting as we start to go towards the end of January. There's January 25th. You can kind of see how heights are favored to be a little bit below normal here for this time of year. So maybe we'll start to get some cooler weather down into our area here as we roll on through the end of January, maybe the early portion of February, but no promises. It's not an exceptionally strong signal, but there definitely could be much worse. You see a little bit of that ridging here out over the western, not the western Pacific, but south of the Aleutian Islands there, and that's what you want to see, the ridging, and it allows that Pacific North American negative oscillation where we get the troughing and more of a northwest flow for potential cooler systems. But it's purely fantasy right now, and I keep updating this, but it has not updated yet today. So this is tomorrow, yesterday's look. We had a look at this yesterday as well, above average and below normal signals. And I've mentioned this the last few days as well. Nino 3.4, well, we've kind of fallen off the cliff there. So La Nina is starting to rear its head there across the equatorial Pacific. We'll see how this starts to affect our weather here over the next coming months. And sometimes La Nina can hang on in through the springtime as well. Drought monitor doing pretty good across Washington, Oregon, Idaho. A little bit of severe drought there, but a little bit worse also across western Montana extreme. And they did introduce some severe and a bit of extreme drought is present across some of Southern California. Channel's doing great here, on our way to 92,000 subscribers. Again, much appreciated. It's all due to you guys. And what else? We'll just wait to see. Maybe we'll get a cold air event here towards the end of January or February at some point, and then maybe we'll get up over 100,000 subscribers. But otherwise, I will be back home tomorrow doing my normal briefing from then. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you guys later.